on this episode of Slainte. We head to Good Robot Brewing in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We talk to the people that run one of the province's most unique locations and learn how this venue adapted to become the popular Halifax brewery it is today. Today I'm headed to Good Robot Brewing over in the north end of Halifax, Nova Scotia. They've definitely got to be one of the most unique locations here. They're known for their strange events, charitable givings, and are self-proclaimed Halifax's most questionable brewery. I'm not sure what I'm going to get myself into today, but I know it's going to be a lot of fun. Located in the north end of Halifax on Roby Street, Good Robot Brewing opened in 2015 and has since grown into an active social hub in the community. To start off our day, we sat down with Kelly to find out about her journey to Good Robot and the brewing process. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk to us. You just told me that you got here at what time?
6 a.m. 6:05, but
is that? We won't tell anyone. So how did you get involved into brewing? Was it
I got bored of serving. Yeah, that's it. I got bored of being at the front of the house. So I started reading books about beer and started hassling the guys to let me make a beer here because they have a pilot system. And finally, Doug was like, fine, okay, let's make a beer. So I made a beer and I haven't really looked back since. I used to be an English teacher in Spain. And before that, I was a translator. But like, the biggest impetus in my life has been boredom, pretty much always. If I get bored of something, it's what's next. I came back to Halifax and I couldn't find any teaching jobs. So I started working here, because my husband works here. But I was a server, and I was like, I'm almost 30, like, I don't really want to be serving anymore. Like, there's nothing wrong with serving, it's just...
You wanted more?
I wanted more, yeah. So then I started looking into beer.
What's been your favorite brew that you've made so far?
I've made so many different beer. Like now, that pilot system, I make a beer every week with a different person. But my favorite beer that I've made is actually Doug's recipe, and it's, in my opinion, perfect. It's called Damn Fine Coffee and Cherry Pie. It's a coffee pale ale, and it's dangerously good.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's so nice, yeah.
Was there a specific moment that you remember trying a different beer and you were like, yeah, I need to figure this out. I gotta find out more of this kind of craft stuff?
Like the first time I ever had a beer and I was like, I could drink 1,000 of these. Boxing Rock's Over the Top, their cranberry kettle sour. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is like no beer I have ever tasted.
Do you have something like that on tap that blows your mind right now?
We have the Damn Fine in cans, that's my go-to. We just made a beer with Keith's. We were calling it the collaboration no one asked for because everyone's mad at us. It's great. Whatever, they always are. It's our first double IPA and it's so good. Thanks to Keith's, we had access to some South African hops, which is not typical. So it's just like juicy and passion fruit, and I get chili. No one else seems to get chili, but that's fine.
So you guys seem to be doing things, let's say, differently here.
Yeah.
From a lot of other brewers. Can you highlight some of the things that you're doing that are different?
We do use a lot of weird ingredients. So like we made a beer last summer or maybe 2 summers ago with Haskap berries. And then we put coffee in a pale ale. We put chocolate in our porter, which isn't that weird, but it's really chocolatey. We just go the extra mile because we're like, well, why not? And then we come up with weird names, and that seems to work. We are the brewery that's sort of bumbling through and learning from bumbling.
What are some of the more exciting reviews or customers you've had come in and either discover your beer or just didn't like beer but now does?
All of our beer is gluten reduced. We use an enzyme called Clarex, and it will reduce the protein, so the gluten. So we've had a lot of people who couldn't normally drink beer who can now drink beer. And that's always so exciting to see them just like. So there's one lady in particular, she came and discovered our beer and was just like, oh, I can drink beer again. This is incredible. And so whenever she's in town, she'll come visit and she's so excited. She's pretty much vibrating. And it's just like, oh, honey, don't. It's like, yeah, it's on us. Have fun.
Is there a particular beer that you are just dying to make that you haven't made yet?
My favorite beers are pretty much black versions of almost any beer. We made, for Women's Day this year, we made a black lager called We're Not Bitter. I am dying to make a black IPA. Yeah, you get it.
Oh.
You get it. We're not bitter, but we are. So I would love to make a black IPA. That's my, like, every time Doug asks, what should we make next? I'm like, I've got an idea.
So you mentioned the pilot program that you do here?
Yeah, we call it the Beta Brew program. So the big ones are Alpha Brews and the little ones are Beta Brews. One every week. We bring in one either person or pair of people from the community and they come in and they usually will tell me what kind of beer they want to make and then I'll come up with a recipe, or if they have a recipe, we'll use theirs. And we make it on our pilot system, so it's like a half barrel. Spend the day together making it and then I sort of babysit it and then I let them know, hey, it's going to go on tap. And every Tuesday we put on one of those beers. Most of the people who sign up for it have never brewed before, which is great.
So I could do it.
Learning. Anybody. I insist. The alternative is that they already know how to brew and then I learn something, which is awesome.
After learning so much about what they do, it was time to see how they do it, with a tour of the brewery. Where do you guys start your brew process in here?
We actually start over at the mill. On the turf, carrying the grain bags in, really. That at 6 a.m. sucks.
Yeah.
And then we take it in and we throw it in through the mill. There's a white tube that comes up right above the mash tun, so it gets milled and then sent through it's called the auger. And there's like a spiral that pushes the grain up and then it goes into the mash tun. That's where we make sort of the sugar liquid that I was telling you about, the beer juice, or whatever you want to call it.
Wow.
The fermentable stuff. Yeah, so it all goes into the mash tun, sits there, it's jacketed so it stays nice and warm. And then from the mash tun, it'll go over to the kettle.
Okay.
So that's where we'll boil it while it hops. From there, it goes through a heat exchanger, and then it goes through that, once we've cleaned it, and into the fermenter. So these are all the fermenters. This is where the beer sits until it's done, and then it'll go from here over to what's called the bright tank. And the bright tank is where we add CO2, so it gets nice and carbonated, nice and fizzy, and then it's pretty much ready to go.
And where's your pilot project that you're...
Right here.
Oh, this guy.
There's the babe right there. So the best part about this, other than how much fun it is, it's called the Brew Magic. And
Did you name it?
I didn't. The company did. Isn't that great? It just makes it even that much more endearing. The way it's set up is that you've got their hot liquor tank, so the HLT. This is just a hot water reserve, because you need a lot of hot water throughout the process. So I put the hot water in there, get it to the right temperature. This is my little mash tun. So this is the little version of that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's the kettle. And then I've got a little heat exchanger, which is down there. And then it goes into these fermenters over here. So they just sit and they bubble away for a couple weeks, and then we put them into their own little bright tank, and then it goes right on tap.
Next up on Slainte. We talked to Giovanni to learn more about the biology of brewing. And we sit down to try the product we've heard so much about. After learning the step-by-step process of brewing from Kelly, I was curious to find out more about the biology side of the product. To uncover more, we talked to Giovanni, the brew assistant. Tell me how it is that you got into brewing.
I did a Bachelor's of Science in Biology, and in the latter part of my degree, I worked with one of my professors, and he just did a lot of microbiology, a lot of ecology. So we would go out in the forest and we would like swab some trees and stuff, and we would come back in the lab and we would actually make cider. And so that kind of prompted me to just, go out and try some of my own things, being able to like go out in nature and just harvest all these things and then bring them back and kind of create stuff. So I like that crafty side of it. Here at the Good Robot, we do something a little bit different where we pitch our yeast, we reuse it. So my part here is that I just check the health of the yeast, make sure that it'll be able to use again, no infection or anything like that. Make sure they're nice and healthy and no friends around, basically, Yeah.
And so have you noticed a big change in your ability to like taste different flavors in the beers as you've been here?
Definitely, definitely. There's so much interesting stuff going on with craft beer. That's why, I'm in it now. It's very fun. It's limitless and endless amount of stuff that you can do and stuff you can put together. So nothing is ever the same.
What do you see yourself doing in the future? Are you going to work here some more, learn about things, or are you looking to hopefully get into your own kind of style?
Here right now, just kind of get into it some more, make some more beers. My specialty right now is that I make all fruit style beers. So I'll make a beer, and at the flame out portion of it, I'll add some pureed fruits. So I made a watermelon and kiwi rattler. It's pretty tasty. And then I would dry hop it again with some fruits just to punch up that fruity flavor. Another thing that I do, another kind of new technique that I'm working on is adding terpenes to my beer. So terpenes essentially are the aromas that you'd get from plants or fruits. So anything from an orange, you'll get something, the terpene is called D-limonene, or from a pine tree, a pine cone, that terpene is called alpinene. So all these stuff around here in nature, the thing that we use here in brewing is hops, and those all have different combination of terpenes. But you can get them from fruits and stuff like that. Later down this year, marijuana will be legal. So I think a lot of people is gonna be jumping on that. Working with the two flowers, cannabis and hops, they're in the same family. So a lot of people will like to work with those and see what type of stuff they could come up with. And I think it's pretty interesting as well.
That's really cool. It sounds like you guys are really pushing the boundaries for what beer is. How would you say people are responding to that?
Oh, people love it here. Just from the vibes that people get when they come here, the atmosphere is awesome. The community itself is just a good community. To be honest, is what's keeping me here. The community is awesome. This place itself just brings so much people around. The diversity of people that comes in here is amazing. So I think in the future time, we'll have much, much more beer to brew and much more people to see.
Both Kelly and Giovanni brought an immense knowledge of brewing during our conversations. After learning so much, now I needed to try the results of their hard work, the beer. Okay, Kelly, what have you chosen for me here?
So we've got Damn Fine Coffee and Cherry Pie, which has coffee, but no cherries. We've got our Halifax North collaboration with Keith's, which is a double IPA. And then we've got Espinazo del Diablo, which is it's a mouthful, and lager, Mexican lager with jalapenos and limes. And this one, which has not even been released yet, this will be out next week. This is the 5th chamber. So this is our Gosa. We make a sour German wheat, which we call our Ghost Face Killer. And for this one, we added puree, like so much puree. It looked like a murder scene. It was amazing. Boysenberry, blackberry, and black raspberry all went into this guy. Yeah.
Okay, so where are we starting?
Let's start with the Damn Fine, because it's easily the smoothest.
Fine.
That's, over here.
Ooh.
So you see nice sort of reddish color.
It's pretty.
Very tasty. Oh, that is my favorite.
Oh my gosh, that's really nice.
It's so smooth.
Very smooth, a lot of caramel.
Yeah.
I would have expected more cherry.
There's no cherry.
But I do get like that flavor of like the coffee, the caramel. I don't get the cherry. Maybe if I had more.
Yeah, well, with enough, you could taste anything.
Oh, I just tasted cherry.
Oh, there you go.
I got it.
We have this one in cans. This is one of the few we have in cans. Pretty proud of this one because my husband actually worked on the can design. So I made the stuff inside, he made the outside.
Perfect
Team
package.
effort.
Yeah.
Okay, from there, let's go to the Diablo. So you can see this one's beautifully clear.
Very.
We use a bit of corn in this one, so it's very light color and pretty light bodied as well, and it attenuates, so the yeast eat all the sugar. It attenuates very fully. And then when it's done, we add real jalapenos, but I pull out the seeds. This is because we think it'll make it less hot. We haven't really confirmed this yet. And then lime zest.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's nothing subtle about this one.
No. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, wait, I have to get another sip right away. Definitely get the jalapenos, like straight up.
Yeah. People sometimes will say they get like a nacho.
Yeah, it's
idea,
kind of like you're eating like a nacho.
Limes. Yeah.
With the jalapenos on it.
Totally.
A little bit of lime. I absolutely get that.
From here, I'm gonna say actually let's do the north. We like to call it the collaboration no one asked for because we did it with Keith, so like the big guys, but I learned a lot from their brewer down there.
That's good.
Yeah. So
Learning is always good.
double IPA,
Okay.
7.7, so you can only have so many of these.
Oh my, yes.
Yeah. So give it a taste, see if you find that. So you get a lot of passion fruit. I actually get a bit of like tomato vine from it.
Okay, that's weird. I wouldn't have
Isn't that
expected that
fun?
kind
That's
of
sort of
flavor.
like, I don't know, it's very specifically tomato
like
vine or like green pepper
yeah, like
almost.
fresh stem.
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah.
And if
passion fruit.
people are a fan of like IPAs, then it's bitter, but it's not like This is really nice.
I think so too. I like
Yeah,
it too.
it's very nice. Yeah, I mean, you can taste the bitterness at the beginning, but it's kind of almost creamy at the end.
Yeah, it smooths right out.
All
So
right.
next, let's go to the one that we haven't released yet. Ooh, very exciting. So this is called the Fifth Chamber. This is the Gosa, but with...
I just smelled it. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's
Oh
we
my
put
God.
so much puree into it.
Oh
so
my
like
God.
I said, boysenberry, blackberry, and black raspberry into a sour German wheat beer.
To describe what I'm smelling right now, like so fruity, so jammy.
And the primary acid in beer, so what makes beer sour, is lactic acid, which is the same acid in yogurt.
I haven't even tasted it yet. Okay, hold on.
Halfway through it already. So this will be quite the summer guzzler, I'll say. Yeah. So if you don't like beer, this is your beer.
It reminds me of a lambic cherry or
A creek or a framboise?
yes.
Yeah. That's quite the compliment. I will take that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
This is delicious.
Yeah. Cheers. One more time. Slainte.
It went in my eye.
That's not how you drink beer,
Now
silly.
it's burning. Next up on Slainte, we meet one of Good Robot's first regulars, and we sit down with one of the co-founders, Joshua.
Good Robot's a place you can come and there's zero judgment. And everyone's accepted. At Good Robot, it's the place you come where they encourage you to be who you are.
People are amazing. It's the most accepting place I've ever been. Come in, enjoy a nice beer, talk to people. It's a community place. It's really a meeting spot.
After trying their product, it was clear why so many have been drawn into Good Robot, including one of their very first regulars, who's earned a sweet nickname. Are you aware that they have given you the title of their first official regular?
No, I just found that out today. So,
What is your nickname?
Sweet Dave. 'Cause at the time when I joined, there was 3 Daves all coming here all through the same time. We were hanging out. So I think they had to differentiate us. And someone, Sweet Dave and this is the other Dave, and I think that, and it just kind of stuck. I just really enjoy the smaller scale. It feels a little bit more local as well, like you're supporting like people in small business locally, and they started this club that you could join, and I just met a lot of people through the club called the Glee Club. We don't sing. Well, I don't sing. But it's not about that. It's more just bringing, I guess, like-minded people together, regulars, and I love that. I just kind of stay home person, and it's kind of got me out and meeting a lot of people.
It's been such a ride discovering the ins and outs of Good Robot. And it was now time to learn how it all began by talking to the marketing director and co-founder, Joshua. Josh, tell me how you guys got started here at Good Robot.
Good Robot was the amalgamation of a bunch of late-night dreams that the 3 co-founders were having. We worked as engineers, we met together at engineering school, and then every year we would kind of escape the monotony of engineering by going and doing something very childish, like going to a music festival like Bonnaroo, where you could dress however you want and party all night, or going to Walt Disney World, where you could act like a kid and meet Goofy. We thought, there's got to be more to making things than this. We were just sort of drinking beers one day, and I guess the answer was kind of right under our noses, and didn't really put it together. What are we going to do with our lives? Can't figure it out.
The overall impression that I get here at Good Robot is that you guys are very real. You are unapologetically who you are. And I really appreciate what you have here. I think it's something very special. What are you doing to keep that going?
When we asked our staff to summarize the communities we serve in 3 words, the words they chose were underserved, adventurous, and something along the lines of off the cuff. Basically, communities that you wouldn't necessarily associate with craft beer. So we're trying to maybe break the mold a little bit and cut through that and bring in new people by offering new experiences. I find it funny that you called us, what was it, unapologetically ourselves?
Yeah.
I'd say we're apologetically ourselves. I think we make a lot of mistakes in the process of trying to be trailblazers. And sometimes you make mistakes and you might damage the communities, the very communities that are underserved that you are trying to bring into your place. So we do a lot of experimentation, and that frequently comes with failures. But you got to sort of pull your pants back up and, you know, take a good hard look at yourself and maybe do some apologizing and learn from it and move on.
I like what you're doing, and I thought there was something interesting. Earlier, I went out to speak with one of the girls and say, hey, you can turn the music on. She's like, oh no, we have it down right now because it's prayer time.
Yes. Yeah, so next door we've got the Center for Islamic Development, which we ended up in the international news by virtue of a complaint. And that was a relationship that started out rocky, but once we got the chance to know each other and we sort of established some parameters out of mutual respect, now things are swimming. You know, they just finished Ramadan, and our staff were very thorough in making sure that music was turned off at prayer times.
I find it surprising because, as you were saying, a lot of times you attribute a bar to being loud and in some ways maybe aggressive in a certain sense, and so I find it very touching that you've tried to create a space that is the opposite of that and then welcomes in all these other different types of people. What inspired or pushed you to make this space available to so many people?
It actually came from my ex-girlfriend. We were talking about the potential of the bar, and I pictured it as this blazing, loud, crazy kind of Disney World attraction. And she said, no, you're going to be a quiet neighborhood haunt. And it really stuck with me. And I think there's sort of a middle ground between what I said and what she said, in that, yeah, we're that neighborhood bar that you can stumble into on your way home from work. But we also do things that are quite eccentric and big. And I think that we land somewhere between the two.
I want to touch on something that Dave said to me earlier, which I thought was very touching, in that he said that he didn't get out a lot, and that he's found that being here and coming here and gives him the opportunity to expand himself by talking to people who are like-minded and are interested in the things that he's interested in. How does that make you feel?
You're talking about Sweet Dave?
I am.
Yeah, well, the fact that he has a nickname at our bar tells you the kind of customer that we attract, or at least we like to attract. So he has become, he's gone from a customer to a friend, and that's kind of what we always wanted. I was inspired by this bar in this neighborhood in Calgary, where I went to this neighborhood called Inglewood, a little artist community, and I went and got my hair cut at one place, and I had a coffee at another, and then I bought a hat at one store, and then I got some shoes at another, and then I went to the pub at 5 o'clock, and the shoe salesperson, the hat salesperson, the coffee person, the barista, and the barber were all there drinking together. The entire community was at this one spot at the end of the day. That's what a pub is. It is literally a public space, right? It's something that's supposed to bind a community together and create a community if one doesn't exist. And I like to think we're trying to accomplish that.
Good Robot Brewing is definitely doing things differently down here in the North End. And I have to say, I really like what they've got going on. They're really giving back to the community, they're conscious about what's happening around them, and they have amazing events and really awesome beer. I'm gonna be back soon to try out all of their new seasonal favorites and to see what else Kelly's cooking up. Until then, keep an eye on this community-driven brewery as they continue to rise.